Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining today. Okay, so we've got Sally and Sarah from Swindon on as well. Sally and Sarah, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here, Sally.
Hi, Sarah. Hi.
Hi, both. Thanks for joining. So second question then, and this is directed at you. I know Swindon have done a huge amount digitally to enable self-service over the past couple of years, and I guess a lot of that hard work that you've been doing for the past couple of years is starting to pay a dividend now, because you're quite far progressed in driving adoption for digital. Can I just ask you, having done all of that work and a lot of the innovation work that you've been doing, what are the current pain points and what are the challenges that you're seeing right now?
Sarah, do you want to kick off with your emerging tech stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. So some of the areas that I've been working on far more into the emerging tech space, and a lot of that's around taking Jadu data and doing something else with it. So some of the challenges that the business have had, when I've literally messaged out this morning, having done a trial at the end of last week, we saw a 2,000% increase in applications for free school meals. So that's a direct link back to significant increase in demand across universal credits. So some of the work I've been doing is to look at how we can deal with that much more efficiently, having contacted the people managing that backlog, and that needs to be speeded up and processed a lot quicker, all things considered, so that we can get vouchers and other necessary plans in place. So there was definitely some debate around the response to 2,000% increase in demand. So I've just finished a 2-day accelerated trial of an RPA piece to help alleviate that. And so what we've taken is what was a monthly 583-hour task down to 9.3, so a 98.3% efficiency increase in resource demand. So that's literally off the press. That one got shared this morning. So we've been able to make some improvements to the Jadu form as well. So we did some data discovery. We've been interpreting email data from Jadu and then pushing that through into a back-end SQL DB to do the processing. So there was that. And then there's also been some pain points around things like food deliveries and medicine deliveries for individuals. And I did some other work on route optimization in a completely different context for our flight tipping graffiti team, and also some machine learning and artificial intelligence around that as well. But we've been able to look at reusing pieces of that in different ways to help manage effective visits to vulnerable individuals for a variety of reasons, whether it's food, medicine or social care. So that's some of the stuff I've been working
on. Thank you, Sarah. The first question really is: it sounds like your voice, I don't know if it's for everybody else, but your audio was breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I apologise. I live in the sticks. Sorry.
That's all right. Fascinating though, because I mean, there's loads you've just said, but I mean, just that last bit where you said that you'd refactored some route optimization work that you'd done for fly tipping for food deliveries and medicine deliveries. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Because that sounds fascinating.
Sure. So I had a chat with my team about the work we'd done and said, how could we potentially unpick and section this and reuse parts of it? and part of that was the route optimization piece, but there's also some other areas that are reusable in the current situation as well. But yeah, so we've used free tier to develop that. So there's it's kind of like, I don't know, $1 a month cost through Mapbox, Google Maps, integrated with iShare, which is the map solution that we use here. And that takes data from a Jadu form or data set, whichever we want. And that allows us to then look at that on a map in terms of visits or deliveries, select a number of drop-offs, and then get the optimized routing piece in there. And that can be accessed on any device by any individual. So we've published externally that, so volunteers can use it.
Wow. So you mentioned some of that went live today. Some of the free school meal stuff actually went live today. But no, the map stuff has been going on a few days previous. Interesting. So, and it sounds like with the route optimization work, it sounds like that's come out of a particular challenge that you've had with food deliveries and medicine deliveries. How quickly did you solution that? I mean, was that something that was a thinking on your feet thing, or I mean, where did that idea come from?
In terms of refactoring, I got the team together and said, right, we've got all our bronze, gold, silver calls going on. We know that we're needing to do this response. What work have we done recently that we could look at reusing? So rather than starting from scratch, what have we already done or got in pipeline or is in trial that we could quickly redeploy in a different way? So it was about an hour's bit blue sky thinking session together, and it takes a couple of hours to redeploy it to other areas and refactor and reuse. So
I guess you've been closely working with customer services to roll all of that out as well, by the sounds of things.
Various areas within the business, so customer services, health and well-being, and connecting out.
I mean, that's a brilliant example of some blue sky thinking, because rather than trying to procure a solution, you're literally taking components of things that you've already built, putting them together, repurposing them, and then pushing them out as services. Fantastic work. I wonder if we could have a conversation afterwards to document some of that, and we can at least share the story then on the library, because even though not all customers will have, or not all authorities will have the same tools, there's certainly other tools that will have that they'll be able to glue together and solution in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Siraj, can I ask Sarah a question around the first thing she said? Sarah, you talked about, I wrote down two numbers, so I hope I got them right. You said you did something with RPA from 583 hours down to 9.3. Is that something that you were already looking at, or is that something which, because I know the work Swindon are doing, you've got a series of sort of proof of concept stuff. Is that the sort of thing that's now effectively justified sort of further work with RPA? Because that's a huge saving.
Yeah. So in this particular piece, I'd already started work. I noticed a 2,000% increase in demand for free school meals in terms of the applications, which was causing a bit of a drowning on the team in place. So I put in place some acceleration of delivery on that piece. So rather than running the trial, which was due to run over a couple of weeks, my team and I, bless them, worked 2 very long days doing the same volume, but in a 2-day period rather than a 2-week period, which meant at the end of last week we were able to finish it. We spent yesterday doing all the calcs and evidence assessment against baseline and then published out this morning. 98.3% efficiency in there. So my proposal, which is not the normal case, I might hasten to add, but I've proposed two options. One is a pragmatic move immediately from the POC proof of concept straight into productionisation to alleviate the pressures in place right now, and then what full production would look like for that area a bit later once the immediate situation is dealt with. But yeah, it's it will go under review over the next day, and we should be able to shift straight from POC to production straight away for that piece very, very quickly. Then, yeah, start on a whole bunch of other related items, hopefully.
Yeah, so effectively it's the catalyst to be able to now potentially roll RPA or look at RPA solutions for other parts of the council.
This is a neat one in that it takes email application data from Jadu. So we needed to interpret the email data, place it in a developed piece of kind of middleware that we've done internally, and then get the RPA structure reading that out, connecting to the external Department for Education portal to get the universal credit check form, and then back in through our various internal children's systems to then pick up the child, the school information, contact the parents, etc., etc. So it's quite nice. It uses on-premise and off-premise internal and external SaaS system, different system types, takes the email data interpretation from Jadu, which sets a service pattern for other things. Yeah. It's me.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. And Sally, is there anything you wanted to add with the experience at Swindon?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the key pain point is always how to deliver quality at pace, and also then how to manage the expectations once we're back to the new normal, that perhaps you don't want to continue delivering at quite such a pace that we have been over the last few weeks. In our circumstance, the only way to sort of combat that is we've just been using the team to peer review everybody's work. So normally we work as a team, but in this situation, to be able to move at pace, we've been getting people to work on individual processes separately, but then coming back together to review them before they're released, to try and sort of combat any mistakes that are always caused by having to work at pace. But I mean, in terms of looking forward, I mean, we've been a victim of our own success, really, because now that the team are much better known across the council, everyone knows the Jadu product and looks to it as a useful solution now, which is great. But obviously the demand has been pretty high over the last few weeks. We've been, as well as the sort of standard business grants processes and processes for supporting vulnerable people, we've also been asked to produce things for our trading standards team to be able to allow people to report businesses that are still trading under lockdown. We've also been asked to reproduce our risk assessment in Jadu, specifically around COVID-19 risks for people on the front line, so that our health and safety team can keep track of those easily. And looking to the future in terms of how do we return to new normal, as we're calling it? We're looking now at a gateway process in Jadu to sort of capture some of the really positive stuff that's been happening in teams across the council and their responses to the COVID-19 situation, and also what have been some of the difficulties and where do we need to focus our attention when we do get back to business as usual, in terms of what processes haven't been able to be completed under lockdown, to identify where we've got issues with single points of failure, governance structures where only one person can approve something and that person might be in isolation and unavailable for 12 weeks, where we've still got manual processes in place that require a wet signature and people haven't been able to process those. So it's trying to capture before people return to business as usual, what are the things that we need to work on and improve for the future, but what actually has already, what new ways of working have been adopted that have been positive for the teams, and how can we support them to continue that? Examples of our children's services suddenly being pushed into virtual meetings, which has significantly improved their ability to actually hold those meetings. Getting different people from external partnerships together in one place has always been a difficulty, but they've noticeably found that it's been easier to get those meetings arranged on a virtual platform. So yeah, it's just about capturing all of those positive sides of this situation.
Interesting. I mean, it's amazing how digital transformation has sped up tenfold over the past couple of months, and how actually one of the biggest challenges before was cultural. Now everyone's just getting on and doing it. And that's a really interesting observation. And it does play well into making these decisions about actually what we do keep going forward. But you're absolutely right. It must be exhausting to have to deal with and constantly be prioritizing all of this activity. And it sounds like you're all doing this in a working from home situation as well, Sally. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, everyone's working from home in my team. Yep. So
how are you
spread out
finding
across
that?
the country. It's been good, actually. I mean, we've now adopted Microsoft Teams as well to sort of communicate. But everyone seems to be quite positive. I think the key is that everyone's so busy. They don't really have time to think about the situation, so that they find themselves in. And we were always quite a digital team, obviously, in the past. Everyone was working from home previously, for part of the time. So it's not that new for them. Obviously, the new thing is all of us, all of the time. But no, they've responded well. I mean, you mentioned the difficulty of previously trying to push people to a digital environment, but a couple of things that we've identified. So we've been trying to push through a virtual post room for quite some time now, and have met with sort of various barriers across the business, and also moving to sort of a cashless council. But obviously this current situation, we've been forced into the virtual post room opportunity, and also nobody wants to touch cash at the moment, so that's another opportunity to try and capture, which has moved us leaps and bounds forward from where we were before. So I think Swindon is very much trying to think of and capture what are the positive results of this situation that we can really retain as we move forward.
There's a lot of stuff that we've been building. I suppose in each individual organisation, you've been, as you said, Sally and Sarah, you've been building things very quickly at an extraordinary pace. And I'm just wondering, out of all of the stuff, and this is a question to everybody really, what has come out to be the most resounding success that you think will play a large role going forward? What are the assets that you've built that you think are particularly significant? I guess the innovation that's come out of this.
Yeah, I think the team working as well, the cooperation and collaboration across different teams, both internally and externally, has been a big factor. And just opening people's minds up to the potential of digital solutions. We've had some areas of the business that we've struggled to break through in the past, but that they're now coming knocking at the door to see what we can do for them, which is a really positive thing for us.
It sounds like a bit of a change in relationship between the organisation and the team.
Yeah, I think so. I think previously it's always been us sort of going out to areas of the business and sort of saying, we noticed that, there are some inefficiencies here that we could help with, which is a delicate conversation to broach. But now they're coming to us saying, we've noticed we've got some inefficiencies that you could help us with. So that makes the whole conversation, it just completely flips it on its head and makes it much easier to manage.
And really it really does amplify those weaknesses in the service as well, when you're forced to work in this way at this pace. And it sounds like your team, like many of the teams that we've been working with, are very ready for that conversation, which is great. It's immensely valuable. Thank you, Sally.